Matt Howard out at Maitland, and apparently you're one of only two Wallabies to have ever played for the Maitland Blacks and make it to the Wallabies. First of all, second match in the hunt, what does it mean to actually be up here playing another game and playing where you started your rugby?
Yeah, man, it's it's unreal. You know, almost was part of that 2012 test. I was in the squad, so close, and a long wait till 2020 to have another crack here, and it's just such a proud area. Rugby's bigger than people expect in the Hunter and in the Newcastle area, so to be able to come up here for a bit over a week, the boys were all out at the Wildfires game. Heard great reports from there, and it's just a buzz about town. The number of people that have just stopped us and wished us luck. There's obviously a huge appetite for rugby up here, so to be able to bring a test match up here, and like I said, not just flying for a test, but spend a bit over a week here and be able to mix and mingle. Got up there to the Maitland Juniors during the week, and they loved that. And look, if it keeps a few kids in rugby, that'd be unreal. So, man, I'm pumped. I can't wait for Saturday. I've been chomping at the bit, but it's been an enjoyable week.
Before Fiji, and obviously you played against the Lions in WA and finally got on against them and you got a try. What's your kind of thoughts and feelings, first of all, how that Lions game was and headspace, kind of finally getting that monkey off your back and actually finally getting on against them?
Yeah, 2 weeks in a row of enjoyable weeks. So that was also unreal. They've come over with 40 or 50,000 people, following them. There was just a red army at most cafes, most pubs. There was a great buzz around the whole week. I think our training week was probably a little bit different to how a test may feel in terms of pressures. As a club side, it's you're not really expected to do to knock them off and do. So look, in terms of that, we just enjoyed that week. We had guys like Sam Carter playing their last game. Ollie Hoskins come back and do the full circle, started in Perth and finish his career in Perth. There's a lot to feel good about. For me personally, to finally play them was unreal. But I know that it'll be very different. The Brits all week were very nice, but I imagine in a few weeks' time things might change a little bit. But look, it is awesome. The size of the event, like I said, the sheer numbers coming out. There's a real buzz about town, and as a player, you absolutely live for these weeks. I think back to a kid running around the backyard, just hoping that dreaming and I'm running out playing the Lions, and then you do it. You're kind of pinch yourself, right?
Pivoting to Fiji, obviously last time you guys played them was that match in 2023. Is there a kind of a feeling of unfinished business? It's kind of going we need to kind of get the monkey off the back about Fiji, or is there kind of a different approach now? Because obviously you guys play them a lot more in the Drew side in Super Rugby and kind of that feel to it. What's the feeling going into this match?
I think there's a different approach, just given it's a different squad, different coaching staff, different everything. So, obviously that was a result 2 years ago, but I think, I speak personally, coming into this environment, it's not something that's spoken about. They're very forward focused, and I guess a lot is on us. We control what we want to control, and if we can nail our fundamentals as a team, we're going to put ourselves in a good position to have a result on Sunday.
For yourself, Dave, first time back in the side for more than 600 days, I suppose.
600?
Yeah, apparently.
God. Wow. Makes you feel old. Yeah.
Did it feel that long? And also, I suppose, how hard have you had to work to get back, from your Achilles and calf injury? Has it felt that long? And how hard have you had to work to get back?
The number makes it feel a bit longer, but it was last year was a difficult year for me. 24. There was points in that where the rehab wasn't sort of going. It wasn't linear, to put it simply. But I've obviously worked hard to get my body to a position where it can tolerate certain loads, and then obviously the medical teams in both the Tars and the Wallabies have been great in terms of we've progressively gotten better and better to the point now where there's a expectation of your training in Wallabies camp. You've definitely got to be able to perform in this environment, in a training environment, and I feel like I've been able to do that consistently, especially over the last week and a half, and the body's feeling good and ready to go.
For yourself, like we were just saying, your last test was Fiji. A lot has changed in that 643, whatever it is, days. What
Definitely coming in, you could feel how connected the group was, and watching last year, you could definitely see it. I didn't even need to be in the group to see that. Yeah, I think obviously the fundamentals of the game is something that Joe drives exceptionally hard, and he's probably one of the top coaches out there at doing that. So it sort of just makes the game easier on each other when you're playing, because if you nail your role, it opens up opportunities for others. So yeah, I think they're probably the main things. Just the connection of the group is a massive one, both off the field and on the field.
You've worn that captain's armband per se previously, but Harry Wilson has been leading the side. I suppose, what is it that, as players you see in him, and do you like his leadership style, and how does he lead?
He definitely leads by actions. I think you can see that in all of his performances, especially last year in the gold jersey. I think obviously as well, there's a strong leadership group within the Wallabies as well that supports Harry. And not every leadership style is the same. So I think they obviously bounce off each other really well in that leadership group. So everyone's obviously supportive around him, and what he has continuously done is lead from the front, and I have no doubt he'll do the same on Sunday.
Well, what at 35 keeps you going to make sure you're still a part of this international stage?
It's a good question. I don't know, there's something in me that's just competitive. I think most guys you talk to maybe a bit over competitive, but at times.
That is correct.
Yeah. Like I still feel good. I want to compete, like in anything it is, and I want to be a part of this team, this group, in whatever role that is. I feel like I've still got a lot to offer, and until maybe that competitiveness may never die, and my body might be what gives up first. But until that happens, there's something in me that just wants to keep going.
It's normally 5 years at least between Tests and Newcastle. Do you treat this as potentially a home farewell, or more emotional than potentially playing anywhere else in the country, given your ties in Maitland and your family are all there, and as you said, your Maitland Blacks Junior and all those things?
Yeah, mate, to be honest, I've been treating any test I've been a part of for a bit over the last 12 months as potentially my last, and that's the reality of how strong the competition is around my position. I've got to play well, I've got to perform well, I've got to train well. So, with 5 years, mate, I won't be playing in 5 years.
Do you think it'll be a bit more emotional? Would it be different?
Look, I don't want to sound like a bit of a grunt, but probably not. I'm just super focused on my role and just performing well for the team. What happens from that? Like, I'll certainly soak it up post-game. Awesome to have the fans on the field, be able to have my family come on the field, but it's not something I'll be thinking about, I guess, during the time when I'm playing. Like, I'll be absolutely job focused, and that's just how I am personally. Sure. Afterwards, maybe I'll celebrate that moment and potentially get emotional. But for now, it's all about preparing well. It was a huge test against Fiji. Fiji, a great side, beat us last time we played them. So kind of obsessed with getting that role right.
Last one for me, you mentioned it, but Scotland was a loss here, Argentina was a draw here. What are you going to get done against Fiji to make sure you get a win in Newcastle?
Just exactly that, and Dave spoke on it. The fundamentals of the game, our own job, and I'll certainly be. We've prepared really well. A lot of the focus is on us, just because of the short runway we have into this first test. Obviously. Studied a bit of their players and their traits, and we play against the Drua, which a large part of their team will be a part of, but a lot of it's been around how we want to play, a lot of continuation from how we were playing last year, and just really focused on the fundamentals around that game. And if we get that right, well then we make the game easier for others, and give ourselves the best shot of getting a result. So, like I said, that's where my focus is, and then everything else will look after itself.
Dave, early signs suggest the Lions haven't got too many sort of chinks in their armour, but do you think the scrum is one area that Australia can dominate, I think?
It's hard to say, because they're still building combinations, and they're coming up against, I think the provincial sides that have scrummed against them have done pretty well. I think you can see in all areas of the game in that second half is where the Lions seem to be taking advantage of the provincial sides, and just because of the depth that they are coming on. So for us, I guess the foundation of our game, anyway, especially at test level, has to be set piece. So if you've got a functioning line out maul scrum, and you can compete and have an edge in that area in any test match, you're going to put yourself in a good position because you've got a foundation. And I think you can obviously see some of the athletes that we've got in this team. You're unleashing them. So yeah, I think if we can nail a set piece in any test match, I think we're going to be in good stead.
Given the sort of the stocks you've got, Belly on the bench, Taniel hasn't even made the squad. Is this the best sort of collection of front rowers that you've seen in the Wallabies for a while?
Yeah, definitely. And just the ability to and want to get better and progress. I look at someone like Zane. I was involved with Zane 2 years ago, and just to see the way he's developed over the last 2 years, Belly the same. So you've obviously got Chrono in here that works tirelessly on making sure that they're prepared. And most importantly, they can fault correct on their own. They don't need the teaching out there. They can start to develop the understanding to actually fault correct themselves when they feel it in training, and then you get that consistency and you start nailing it in a game. And I think, someone like Zane, you look at his year, he's had a cracking year, and his set piece has come a long way.
Whitey, just on tests in Newcastle, I suppose, being a country junior yourself, how important is it to bring tests to regional areas, not only like Newcastle, but other places in the country to grow the game?
Yeah, like it's, you nailed it there, like it's really important to have these tests up here. Like I said, there's a real appetite for rugby up here. There's a lot of rugby in the Hunter and Newcastle, and a large number of people. So if we can have a test up here, and like I said, spend the week or so up here, it's just those few little moments that can maybe keep a kid in the game. Certainly, I can remember the moment. Phil Warren, Nathan Gray came up. I was about 12 years old, and it was just a couple of words from Nathan Gray, and I just was absolutely in love with rugby. So, if we can have a few moments like that and keep a few kids in, maybe a few Wallabies down the road come from the Hunter as well.
Nick, the NRL are coming to Perth, obviously, with the Perth Bears. How do you think that's sort of going to impact on the Western Force?
Oh, mate, I've not thought about that at all. I'm not sure. There's a huge number of people over there. I don't know. Here's my answer to that one. And to be honest, sorry, I've just been focused on Fiji this week. We've got the British and Irish Lions, and that's just where my focus is at the moment.
Yep.
Simple metered, sorry, mate.
No, you're right.
Dave, actually, obviously starting alongside James and Altoa, Joe was kind of talking about the combinations and stuff there, and obviously, you've not got Belly or Taniel, you've been scrumming alongside. What's kind of Cronny seen there with the three of you guys together? Because obviously you have a little bit more time now to actually build that combination up with them, and kind of what's that been like working with those guys in the front row?
You'll have to ask Cronny that. But yeah, obviously we've had some, we scrummed together a lot in that 22 year as well. So we've got sort of a general understanding of what we're after. So for us, it's a great challenge, in a short lead up to a Fiji game. How do we fast track that? How do we make sure that we know exactly what each other needs? And that's, the role of a hooker is to understand what each prop needs, and then you take control of the pack in terms of a scrum element. So, it's a challenge for us, and I think we've had a good run in.
Yeah, on the Newcastle question, obviously you're kind of an outsider coming in a little bit on the playing test matches up here and stuff like that. What's kind of your feeling actually being up here for a week, getting a sense of the rugby voice and the rugby language up here, so to speak?
We went to the Wildfires game and had a signing session. You could just see the excitement in the people around here in terms of they're thanking us as players for coming here and having a test match here. So it obviously means a massive deal. And like Whitey spoke about, for the kids to actually have that exposure, that's what keeps kids in the game. You have those experiences, you have those memories, and it kicks on. And then, I always remember when I was a kid those little moments, and the more we can create that in Australian rugby, the better.
Last one for me. It's obviously, of course, you've got this match this weekend, focusing on getting a job done with Fiji, but of course the Lions are hanging around in the background. you've got, you know, the Force boys coming in, you've got the Reds boys coming in, who've already had that experience. Like, I mean, Les has literally already been handing out advice to Joe in the media. Kind of what's that headspace been? Because you kind of got that outside influence coming in.
Yeah.
You're thinking about, okay, well, this is what we know the Lions are doing from the players who've been on the ground. What's the headspace of how we do that sort to make sure we get a job?
My headspace is that Fiji don't care that it's a Lions series coming on. So the most important thing for us is to perform, and you know, we've got a test match ahead on Sunday. So that's the most important thing for me.
Nick, as a halfback, it's your job description to be chirpy on the field, and you always have been. What's the lowdown on the Lions when you played them the other night? Were they engaged in banter? Did they sledge you? Did you sledge them back? Was there much fun on the field? Great one-liners from them?
Nah, it was plenty of fun, but it was all just very job focused. You know, with Andy Farrell and Joe, they're very similar in that, like, as a player, your job is to do your job, and yeah, there was none of that.
Not even Polly?
Nah, mate. To be honest, if you saw that Force game, like the balling play in that first half was, we were all just searching for oxygen, and you know, Ben O'Keefe included. So, mate, it's that's just footy for now.
Is this a team you can be friends with, do you think, or is it that the stakes are too high that you're more than used to?
Oh, look, maybe we'll be friends at the end of the series, but yeah, there's certainly there's none of that sort of animosity towards anyone in that group. They're looking to win. We're looking to win. Stakes are high. Tensions will be high. There'll be a lot of pressure. That's a Lions series, but no, mate, it's I'm sure we'll find the appropriate time to have a beer. Like they're good blokes.